Did you know you can advertise on podcasts?
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Find out more at podvertise.com.au. That's podvertise with an s.com.au.
Ben Crocker, thanks for coming to the Unlaced Podcast, mate. Second episode in the studio, boys. It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, you were just cracking a few jokes, mate. It's a pretty interesting studio, hey? You've walked
Very
into
interesting.
a bit of an inverted warehouse that we found.
Reminds me of Dexter a little bit.
Oh, yeah, well,
the cool room.
We'll get the glad wrap up soon, mate. You'll be finished up before you know. But no, just a bit of context for the listeners out there. Ben Crocker has had a pretty unique journey to date. He's played for a couple of clubs in the AFL. Drafted to Collingwood, 2016? We drafted to Collingwood?
2016.
Yep, had 2 or 3 years there, and I think became a bit of a fan favourite and a change room favourite, and played 30 or so games. And I guess mutually, probably the club and yourself decided time to change it up, and you ended up going to the Crows, where I'd love to pick your brain about Adelaide, because I lived there for a little bit, and look, no disrespect to Adelaide, but it's no Melbourne, to say the least. But you had a year there, and it was pretty strange year for footy and everyone. And I think it was last week or even this week, you've recently been delisted. So you're in where we spoke the other day. It's like this limbo phase of so many options for you. So keen to understand, I guess, what's life like for you right now? Like getting up out of bed. How's your head? What are you doing?
Well, firstly, I'll correct you on saying me and Collingwood's departure was not mutual.
I was trying to be
They showed me the door, told me to go.
Okay, fair.
So, yeah. But, yeah, my headspace right now, it's obviously not where I want to be. And, like, when you get drafted and that, you just have a feeling that you're going to be sweet. And, like, because I was always a pretty good junior player. So I was like, I knew AFL would be hard, but I thought I'd be all right. And, like, you see people before you come and do the same thing, but didn't really pan out the way I was meant to at Collingwood. But like couldn't speak highly enough of the people I met there and all that type of stuff. Like made friends that I'll have for life, and I think like the thing with me in footy was I got along with a lot of people, and I always worked hard, and I think that kind of carried me to get another opportunity at Adelaide.
Yeah.
So that went there for this year. Got delisted, but back to the headspace, I guess. It's not ideal and it's not where I want to be, but like I've spent 5 years in the game now, and the longer you're there, you kind of realise that there's more stuff outside of footy, and there's a little bit of anxiety around like, what can I do? Because I've come straight from being an 18-year-old to playing AFL. But I think like also it's kind of exciting that I might be able to start something new and a new chapter. But yeah, I'm kind of in that limbo phase where I've got to wait and see. Might get picked up, might not.
So they're like two legitimate choices for you in your life right now. You could be back on an AFL list, or you could be, doing some sort of work and playing in the VFL, for example. Like that's two paths that are 50% possible either way.
And I think that's like where all the anxiety comes from.
Of course, yeah.
I've been in limbo before. I was at limbo at Collingwood, and it's. Yeah, you got to prepare for both, which is like people are like, oh yeah, that doesn't sound too bad, but like the reality for me was I was waiting to get picked up again by Adelaide, and if it didn't happen, it's like, well, you're done. Go and you got to find something else to do. But if you do get picked up, it's kind of like, all right, well, you got to come back.
Yeah.
Like so, you're sitting there waiting and pretty much putting your life on hold, and it's hard because like I have people talking to me about potential job opportunities outside of footy. And you're kind of like, well, I don't know. I can't give you an answer. Like, yeah, it sounds cool. It sounds like something I might be into, but I can't give you an answer because I don't know what's going to happen with me. Yeah. And I've been through that twice. So, luckily after Collingwood though, the Crows picked me up, but obviously this year's been a little bit different.
Did you know when you were coming out of Collingwood that you were going to go to the Crows quite quickly, or was there a decent period before that came up?
Well, I think like for Collingwood, I was still 50-50, so I thought maybe there was a chance I was still going to be there, but I wasn't naive to know that there was also 50% chance I wasn't going to be there.
Yeah.
But I kind of held on to the fact that, I'll still be at Collingwood, try not to stress too much. But then halfway through the year at Collingwood, Adelaide rang my manager and were kind of like, what's the go? Why isn't he not playing?
Okay.
We'd be interested to have a look at him type thing. And it got to the end of the year and got delisted and like spoke to boys at the club and was kind of like, I've never been someone to like directly approach a coach and ring them up and ask them, would you be interested to get a coffee? But I spoke to boys like Tay Adams and stuff, and they're like, dude, you just got to do it. Like, footy is a business, and that's what you do in the business world. If you want a job, you got to directly
100%.
approach people. So, I started ringing like list managers and coaches, and the first few were like real awkward, and I wasn't into it. But then, like, the more and more I spoke to people, the more confident I got. I started meeting up with, I think I ended up meeting up with like 10 clubs or whatever, purely just from calling them myself and saying, look,
No way.
can I get a coffee with you? Like, a lot of people look at me as well and they're like, nah, this kid's a scumbag. And like, I'm like pretty loose and I like to have fun.
Factual though.
Yeah. It's not too bad. It's not too right. I'm pretty loose and I like to have fun, but like a lot of people wouldn't see the other side to me where like I work my ass off and like I've always trained hard, always try to be a better player every year. And like a lot of people don't see the stuff going on at home as well. So like I was so eager to put myself in front of people to show them, hey, like, I might not look like the ideal person you want, but trust me, you get to meet me. I'm sure you'll like me.
Yeah.
I started doing that. And then I met with Adelaide knowing that they were interested, and like bought like running data and stuff like that to my meeting. And I think they were just like, this guy's like so much different to what we thought when he was 18. Like I know when I went there, when they picked me up, when I got introduced to the group, like Haim, the main recruiter, was just like a comparison to him as an 18-year-old to now. Like he's so much different.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you think that's like, because I for me being from like the sporting environment as well, like people with your like, because you're pretty charismatic and very upbeat, and I think it's fair to say, and we'll go into some of your family life, but probably from that experiences, you're just like, fuck being anything else. Like, I may as well be myself while I'm around for as long as I can. But do you think in the elite sporting environments, how there's kind of this mould of what you got to be, like the Scott Pendleburys and those type of personalities, the way you are can work against you with some people? Yeah,
I mean, subject to the person, really. Some people love it, some people don't. But like you said, like, that's my attitude. Like, fuck, I'm not going to be anyone but myself. And I think that's why I've made so many friendships. And I think that's why people gravitate towards me because
they would,
because I'm me and I act the way I do. And like, I think when I left Collingwood, like, it was disappointing, blah, blah, I didn't play as many games. But like, then I look at like the influence I try to have on people outside of footy. Like, I'd always come and try and make the day fun for people. And I think in a footy sense, people like that can get, like, people underestimate how important it is.
100% they do.
And like, I was going through my own shit as well.
Yeah.
And tried not to bring it into footy. But I think like for people that were also going through shit, seeing me do it, thinking, oh, well, if he can come in and still manage to do things, or maybe I can type thing. So,
yeah.
And I mean, we'll get to the family stuff, but a lot of that, like the mindset I take, well, fuck, I'm going to be who I am, is because of what is going on with my dad. Like, life's short. There's no point fucking not being who you are and true to yourself.
But I think like if I was your teammate, for me, I'd find that like infectious, and that would be unique to the sporting environment or unique to an AFL system, because you would bring some normality to like, well, we're not fucking invincible to the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're in a special place, but everyone's going through shit. And before we do get onto some of your family stuff, because I do want to talk about your career, because you had a pretty elite junior footy career. You're obviously part of the Oakley Chargers TAC Cup squad. I think you were captaining of Vic Metros, which is leadership skills here. I mean, fuck, that coach team's obviously not coaching anymore. But no, can you speak us through, I guess, maybe the years? And what school? You went to Carey, was it?
Yeah, I went to Carey, yeah.
So you played in the APS and stuff. So just the back end of that journey leading into the AFL, I mean, what was that like for you?
So like played Oakley and like played as a 16-year-old as well.
Okay, so that's a bottom major.
Yeah, like, bottom major. Played Vic Metro. Was in the leadership group there. So I don't know what the fuck's wrong with these coaches. Was in the leadership group there. Managed to play like the AIS.
Okay,
So I got into the...
That's like the elite 30 of the AFL, right?
Yeah,
the country,
so
right?
Yeah, the best... They'd say it's the best 30 in the country at that time. So I managed to play there in my 18s year and got to meet clubs that way. And I think a lot of clubs initially were like, fuck, this kid is full on.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of the thing with AFL is like they want you to be a certain mold, which sometimes that would have hurt me as a player because I was so out there. And I mean, fuck, I never hurt anyone or did anything bad, but I was just like a lot of clubs would have taken as the fact this kid doesn't give a fuck, but it just wasn't that. It wasn't the case. Yeah. But I was lucky to play there and got to meet every club. You get to have meetings with every club there. So I played there in my under 18s year, and then went back to Oakley after that, finished up. And I think I remember when I was expecting to go top 30 in my draft year.
Because would you end up going pick 60?
Yeah, pick 65. So, and a few weeks before the draft, they have those mock drafts. I mean, I don't know how serious those are, but my name was pick 30 or something, or pick 25, and I was like, well, I'm going to be going top 30. And then I had a full camera crew at my house.
You had a lot of boys.
Oh, yeah, I had all my mates, and they were getting fucking blind as well.
Pick 50, you'd have been like, fuck me.
Yeah, and we're watching it, and we're like, fuck, I don't reckon I'm going to get picked up here. Can you imagine? Everyone's there, and eventually got picked up by the Pies, but that for me just goes to show you just can't predict anything.
No.
So I couldn't give a fuck what number I went, and because I went to the club I wanted to go to as well.
Because you're a fan of
Collingwood, I went for Collingwood growing up, and I had mates there already. Yeah. So it ended up being the ideal situation, but it was I probably expected to go a little higher.
Yeah.
But end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I think being a top draft pick's fucking, you got heaps of pressure on you, but I mean, I think one of the only benefits of it, truthfully, is that you probably get a few more years to prove yourself in the system. So if I had to go and pick 20 or whatever, I probably would still be playing AFL even if I hadn't played as many games. So that's probably the only really benefit of it.
Fuck. Okay, that's
and you get paid more probably.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So just to speak through the early days at Collingwood, coming out of high school into an elite system, what's that like? What are the first few weeks like? What are the conversations you're having? Are you straight into integrated with the main squad?
Yeah, I think coming in it's fucking, you're shitting yourself. Daunting. Because for me, I was captain of the club. I was last out, so I was so used to being able to kind of be the one that's really confident and you get when you've fucking been there at the club for ages, you end up pretty much doing what you want. And,
you get comfortable.
Yeah, you get comfortable. Yeah. So coming in especially to Collingwood, I mean, fuck, it's nerve-wracking enough as it is. And I knew people there. I knew Geordie, I knew Darcy, I knew Ben Sinclair. I knew Scotty Burns, who was a coach there. He was my next door neighbour for 10 years. So crazy. I knew people coming in, but for me, I was and I had people spoken to me, you're going to have to rein it in. When you get there, because people might get the wrong idea with you, and you just don't want to start
When they
off.
say rein it in, though, what are they meaning to you? Because I'm assuming you're not a reckless guy. You obviously work hard.
I think it's more the things I say and the things I do. Fucking don't run around naked in the first day around the change rooms, which became a habit towards the later years.
Yeah.
But don't do stuff like that, and just kind of ease your way in and prove.
Get some respect.
What type of person you are, and get some respect before you start doing that stuff, which I tried to do. I don't know how well I did it, but I tried. But you come your first day, you kind of watch how the days run, you meet everyone, and then I was pretty much into it. In the first week, you get pulled out at a lot of the conditioning stuff after training and some of the weights, stuff like that. But these days, it'd be obviously a lot easier than when I had mates like Benny Johnson and stuff drafted fucking ages ago, and they would have been straight into it. But
Yeah.
you're pretty well looked after these days.
They
But
kind
it's still hard.
Yeah.
Jumping from under 18s into AFL footy is a massive difference.
I can own, like, for me, coming into soccer was massive. I'm like, footy, it's kind of like two different body shapes.
Yeah, like I was exhausted every day. Like I'd get home and be asleep as soon as I got home, and it's like that for your first 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are well looked after, and I mean at Collingwood you got all the facilities as well. So you get like you have pools, you have an unreal gym. Now they have a sauna, stuff like that, which is, I mean, most clubs have it, but a lot of clubs still kind of don't have it. So that was kind of the transition.
So for me, and this is, I relate to you in the sense of like my youth soccer career, like your youth footy career, was like quite elite. Like I captained a lot of teams, played for a lot of rep teams. And then once I got into like the professional system or the business system in some regards, like I fucking struggled to get a game.
Yeah.
Like because like you, I was so used to being one of the better ones. Then coming into it, I'm like everyone's actually better than me, or like I've got to work so much harder to prove myself. Did you struggle with just not being in a consistent 22 or consistently in the best 22, like coming in and out, having to prove yourself? Because it's almost like, before you answer that, it's almost like when you're in that position, when you come into the 22, you've almost got to play better than everyone to just maintain a spot. You know what I mean? If you play okay, sometimes it's still, you're the fallback to get out, you know?
Yeah, it's, I mean, being a fringe player is fucking hard. And I actually, like, anyone who's in that situation will understand. I mean, for me, it was hard because, like, my best mates at Collingwood were all superstars. Like, I got Braz, Geordie, Steele, Howie. Like, all those boys are fucking in straight away. Yeah, and, like, you know, like, I would make it so much of an effort not to complain and stuff. But when you'd kind of want to talk to them, they don't understand because they haven't been in that situation. But like for me at Collingwood, I was in for 2 weeks, out for 1, in for 2, out for 3. Like
it's fucking hard, man.
So you go play AFL, you don't do great because you're nervous because you know you have to perform. You go back to the VFL and you get 30 touches and kick a few goals, and then you go back and you might get 5 touches. Like it was just so hard, and that's been my full career to date. So for me, it was like the constant going in with anxiety of I have to perform, knowing that Jamie Elliott's coming back from a hamstring and he's straight back in. Like I had to do something. Yeah. And then it ends up taking your focuses away from doing simple things. So you almost see the writing on the board because you're aware of who's coming back in the next week. And I mean, I think I got my opportunity. Like I debuted in round 7 of my first year because Jamie Elliott was injured. Who knows when I would have played if he was fit and healthy. Yeah. And I think it only took, when the year we played the grand final, I played the first half of the year without going out and thought, maybe, maybe this is the year that I'll stick. Got dropped, couldn't get back in for finals, obviously didn't play the grand final. But like, you constantly, I would have the attitude of, and especially because I would want to be in so badly, I would come in, like I'd be coming in on days before training at like 7 a.m. and doing like touch on the we call it the sprung floor there for like an hour, and then training and then doing more after. Like I got so intense with doing stuff that it would make me anxious when I would play.
Like overworking.
Yeah, like I was overdoing things. And then you look at Geordie, who's like the biggest chiller and doesn't give a fuck. And then he goes out and kicks 7. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Do you people like Geordie fascinate me. And I actually think that we had Archie on the week before who's quite similar, where they have these very laid back vibes. And don't get me wrong, like it's not to take away any of the hard work or dedication they have, because they obviously do. But there's the element of like, not that they don't care, but they're so relaxed and they're so calm for like high pressured fucking shit.
Yeah, they're able to perform.
But like, what is it about? Like Archie would go, like he'd come, and boys at Victor tell me he'd come through the week and like he'd train hard, but like he'd be jovial and jokerish and like wouldn't look too far ahead, wouldn't look too, but like very in the moment. I don't know if Geordie's like that, but players like that, you probably experienced some players like Adelaide. Why do you think there's just some players that can turn it on the big stage and like they have that character?
Yeah, I think Geordie, like he knows he's good. He's got a huge amount of confidence in his own abilities. So like he knows that he can do it. And like for me, it was like I knew I could do it, but I hadn't yet proved it. So like I was coming into the footy club every day saying, this is what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
And
rather than
this is what I
embracing.
need to do because I'm not too good at this.
Yeah.
I know I'm good at that, but that'll be sweet. Whereas Geordie knows he's good at this and he just does what he's good at.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I constantly focused on the negatives, and after a while, that builds up on you.
It does, 100%.
And like, I'd be coming into the club someday being like, "Fuck me, like this is just so shit." And then you step back and you're like, you're at the club you want to be at.
Everything's
it's a good group. Yeah, everything's good. Like, and you still don't feel great. But I think for Geordie, he's just got a massive amount of confidence.
Yeah.
And because he's so laid back,
It helps.
Yeah.
I actually think, it does help because I was like you. I'd overthink, especially when you're on the fringe, you start to overthink things because you're really assessing, like you're living the day-to-day of why you're not getting picked and what you have to do to come back in. And like, sometimes it's literally just a matter of a coach's opinion. Like it's a new coach can come in and like you could be fucking playing 22 games a year. You know what I mean? It's such a crazy thing, the sporting world. And one of the I spoke to an elite athlete wellbeing researcher. His name's Sam Lane. He's actually coming on next week, and he actually said to me, he's like, it's one thing for an athlete to get an opportunity in the system. It's another thing and completely rare to be able to establish a career. And like that's fucking hard. And you've definitely got an opportunity, and you're already in like a minority itself. The amount of blokes you played with through your junior career that were probably good, maybe even better than you, that haven't got a gig and you have. And it's like, so it's really hard, and you try to put things into context because you're probably comparing yourself to those guys a little bit, but at the same time you've done pretty well to be where you're at too.
Well, I think that the average career length of an AFL player is 3 years or 2 years, so I've already passed that. But
yeah
you're right. Then you're playing with blokes like Pendles and stuff like that, and you're like, everyone wants to be that bloke, and sometimes you get caught up fucking thinking, fuck, I want to be so much.
Yeah, because you just compare, right?
Yeah. But the reality is there's very few people that are going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to deal with it sometimes, but I mean, in it, like, I loved playing VFL footy at Collingwood as well. Like, I had a mad coach, good group of boys, but that's not what you want to be doing.
No, right.
So even like you're still playing on good ground, blah blah. But you're still disappointed that you're there. Right?
Yeah.
And that's already a hurdle already. Like, you're already rocking up to the game wishing you weren't playing.
Yeah, for me, I reckon that's like not an art, but that's a skill. If you can turn up to the reserves and have the same mentality as you would for the
it's
ones,
hard. It's so hard.
Mate, there's no trophy for that. And that's I struggled with that. I'd turn up thinking, fuck, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And it would sometimes reflect in my performance purely off like just attitude alone. You know?
100%.
One of the things that is pretty documented about you, which I think is probably one of the most inspirational pieces around your career, and this is why I kind of wanted to frame you as like, you're so much more than just an AFL footballer, and comes back to, I guess, people that maybe look at you and they're like, oh, you've got this image as like a jovial character who's got a raw nature that could cause problems or whatever. But like, you obviously clearly work hard. You're very dedicated. I mean, right now you're in a limbo phase and you're training fucking every day, which people probably don't see. But also, like, you've gone through, I think you did this at Collingwood, you kind of stood up in front of the group, and then when you went to Adelaide, which they shared publicly, you got in front of the group and you explained a little bit about your family and your father, and I guess the stuff that you've had going on the field for probably the last 5-6 years. So I just wanted to see if you could share some insight into that side of what's been going on off the field and you know, how that's been to be able to compete in an AFL environment whilst you're having to maintain and support both.
Yeah. So, how old was I? I was 17, and like my dad had been doing strange things, fucking like just things normal parent wouldn't be doing, like putting his phone in strange places, like constantly walking all day. And he just had a break up in his business. And I remember Mum like pulled me into the car one day and was just like, I've taken your dad for a brain scan and he's got a disease called Alzheimer's. And I knew what it was. And I was like, what? I was like, Alzheimer's? I was like, he's like 50.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's like when I say rare, it's not rare because fucking heaps of people have it, but it's called early onset. And then was kind of had to deal with that. And like, I think that period of when I was like 17, 18 was a bad period for me. Like, that was when I was seriously was like, fuck the world. I'm doing what I want. Like, I'm getting in a bit of trouble. Footy wasn't a priority for me. So I was dealing with that at home. And at the same time, like when you're 18, I'm not as confident as what I am now. Like, like I was so embarrassed that I had a dad that was sick, and like it wasn't a physical thing, so you couldn't physically look at him and say you're unwell. So he'd look fine, and then he'd be like he'd still come out my footy games and stuff then, but he'd like forget to pick me up and just stuff like that. But I remember like I'd be at a footy game and another dad would kind of come and talk to him, because he was like me. He was like super fucking chilled out, like real confident, able to talk to anyone, and he couldn't hold conversations with people. Like people would be like, "Oh, hey Paul, how you going?" And he'd be like he'd literally freeze, and I'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, and it got to a point where I was so embarrassed that I kind of like started to hate him a bit.
Yeah.
And that was a bad period for me. Like I pretty much hated my family, and it sounds bad to say it, but that was the way I felt.
Yeah.
And then like the more I when I got drafted, it got worse, and it was.
What are some of the symptoms of Alzheimer's? It's like memory loss is one,
Memory
right?
loss is like the most basic one. So memory loss, like I don't even, like I haven't spoken about this. I've said it on something I did the other week, but like I lived across the road from school, and I used to come home and he'd be in the bathroom, and he'd lock the door, and I'd like kind of try and get it open, and I'd like barge the door down, and he'd be washing his hands with his own shit, like stuff like that, like that you'd just be like, what the fuck, like, and you cannot comprehend that. Like I couldn't, even now, like we kind of have a laugh about it because we're like, fucking hell, like that's just like, and I'm happy I'm able to laugh about this stuff.
Yeah, bloody oath,
like, because
man.
there'd be some people that wouldn't, but like,
no,
I used barge the door down, and he'd be washing his hands with his own shit, and I'd just be like, what the fuck's going on? Like, why is this happening? And like I had the real mindset of like, why to me? Like why is this happening to me? And I put myself as the victim as opposed to putting dad. And then got drafted and kept it a massive secret. Like was lying to people. I think a lot of people thought either my parents were divorced or I didn't have a dad. Never spoke about him. Completely lied. Scott Burns knew.
Because was he a coach?
Yeah, he was a coach then, and dad had just started being looked after by carers, so and dad could walk and stuff, so they'd bring him to training, and I used to see him, I'm like, fucking go away, like, really? Don't come over here. And I remember Burnsy saying to me one day in my first year, like, oh, I saw your old man, like, and he's like, he didn't know who I was, it was really weird, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't know, must have just not recognised you or whatever.
He's been neighbours with him for like fucking
10 years, we lived next to each other, so I was like, fuck, this is like getting to a point where I'm probably going to have to say something.
Is that what, like, I was about to ask you, not to interrupt, but just like what triggered you to be, I guess, start having the frame of mind you do now towards...
I think the one that triggered me was like when I debuted, he came into the rooms. That was the first and last time he'd ever come into the rooms. And he just, it was obvious that something was not 100% with him. Like my mum was kind of hand-holding him, walking him around. And I don't think I'd even told Braz and Geordie. And like for me, that was like, fuck, they're my two best mates here. Like we do everything together, and I just can't even tell them that. Yeah. And then it just got to a point where like he was starting to get sick, and doing stuff like that, like washing his hands with his shit. He used to wake up at night and like start screaming and like demanding that we take him home and stuff like that. And we're like, well, you are home. And it got to a point, where I just like was like, fuck, I can't keep lying because it's really stressing me out.
It's
and
affecting you,
and
right?
it was affecting me. And like I was seeing a psychologist at the club, stuff like that, and I ended up standing up in front of the group and telling them what was going on, and like instantly people were like, fuck, dude, like we had no idea. And because I was the way I was at the club, like people just couldn't guess. So
you're just the way you are now, in a sense, right? You're just carrying heaps more shit.
Yeah, and I think like some days I would have a bad day and people would be like, fuck, what's going on with Croc? And then I told them, and like the response I got was so good. Like instantly felt, fuck, like maybe this isn't the worst idea to do. Started getting out in the media, and then like it just kind of went from there. Yeah. Like started doing like the dementia walk, stuff like that, and then started getting like backing from the club as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But like from him, like from when I got drafted to him now, like it's only been 5 years, but like the spiral they go on downhill and the stuff that...
Yeah, because I was going to say, is it, I mean, like, because now I think your dad's, he's under like 24/7 care, right? From your mum and a carer. But is that sort of like quick to the way he's sort of gone into that point, or is that natural? Like it's because they eventually get to that, right? I assume
their lifespan's meant to be 10 years, and he's had it for about 10 years. So he's 61 now,
right?
And I know the neuropsychologist said to Mum that like she's surprised that he's kind of still around.
Wow.
But then again, like he still was able to exercise, and he used to walk like 10, 15 Ks a day. But slowly it started getting, the walking wasn't as good. Like he used to be called Tubby. Like he wasn't fat, but he was fucking Tubby. To now, like he's like skeletal.
Yeah.
He can't walk now. He can't talk. He needs to be fed via spoon. Like things are mashed up, like for babies.
Right.
Like it literally, like it would take me, like a Chobani yogurt thing would take me like 50 minutes to feed him sometimes, like because he just can't swallow. And like, yeah, you look, for me, it's kind of, and for people who don't see him as much, when they see him, it's very confronting. But because I live with it every day, you're used to it. But yeah, from 5 years, from where he was 5 years ago to now, it's like completely different.
Worlds apart.
Like you just see, like this illness just fucks people up. Like so bad.
And there's no cure for this, right?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment,
like
right?
they're doing trials and stuff, but he's too far gone anyway. Like Dad will probably die, and I wouldn't think he would be here next Christmas.
Yeah. Which,
like, people are always like, "Oh man, how do you do it? Like, how do you talk about it and stuff?" But like, I'm so used to it now, and it's my life that. Like, I've got the mindset of, like, fuck, I'm not going to sit here and wallow and, like, be upset. Yeah, it's going to suck. And it's obviously, if I could change it, I would, but I can't. So I might as well do everything to make it a positive experience and enjoy the last however long we have with him.
Bloody oath, mate. That's a beautiful mindset. It's funny. It goes for, like, most things in life. When you get to that point of, like, going through hardship and you get to that point of acceptance, everything just gets a bit easier. And you can start to, like, see the benefits and
I
pros.
have no doubts that all this shit's made me so resilient, and it's impacted with footy. Like when I got delisted, I literally had like a day where I was like, fuck this, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, bang, straight back into training again. Like this, I'm going to get picked up again. And I still have that mindset. I know it probably won't happen this year.
Yeah.
But like I fucking guarantee you for the next 2-3 years, I'll be trying to get picked up again.
Oh, exactly, mate. There's nothing in the AFL system that's going to test you more than this, is there?
No.
Like, do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it would make you mentally stronger. But one thing that, and this kind of a big part, I speak about this on every episode, but a big part about this podcast, humanising the athlete, is like athletes fucking go through the same shit everyone else does, but you guys are in the spotlight and have to perform at the highest level, and there's no leniency to that. Like if people knew your story and you had an off day in the club or on the field, and people were really like ingrained in your life, they could probably understand. Like your family may understand, but not everyone does. So they're gonna be like, "Croc was fucking shit today."
Well, I think like that did like the best example of that was we played in the grand final year. We played West Coast in like round 15 or something, and it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I heard my front door open, and because I got an electric door, I very obvious when it fucking opens, and I heard it open, and like I'm like, what the fuck, like. Who's coming in here now? And I went downstairs, and I had paramedics running in with a stretcher, and Mum's like, Dad's not breathing, he's had a seizure. And we're playing West Coast the next day at like midday. So I was up at the hospital at 5 a.m. Thinking he's going to die because he wasn't breathing well. He was very sick at this point. But at the back of my head, I also knew we're going pretty well. I can't afford to give the game up tomorrow.
The spot up.
Yeah, I can't afford to do it. So I'm thinking, like, fuck, I've got my dad, I've got the game. I ended up getting home at like 5:30 or whatever. Mum was like, look, play. I'll keep you in the loop. I went home, went to bed, got up, played the game, went to the game, like felt like fucking shit, hadn't slept, worried about my dad. Played the game.
Did anyone know?
I told maybe one person. I didn't want to tell anyone.
So you'd like bucks and stuff.
No one knew. Right? No one knew. Played like shit. Got home. Fucking read comments on Instagram. Fucking Crocker was no good. Fuck this bloke out. Blah blah blah. And like you read that shit. People say they don't, but like they commented on shit that you're actually looking at. They commented on my photos and stuff.
Yeah.
Got home, told a few people, and then I got dropped the next week, and Bucks was like, man, I had fucking no idea. Like, and still got dropped. And I honestly reckon not playing that game would have been better for me. It could have been a completely different story. Could have ended up playing in the granny, stuff like that. But like, that's the shit that people don't see. And I'm sure there's plenty of footballers that have stuff like that going on.
100%.
But like, that's what really fucks me off about people commenting stuff like that on social media.
Yeah.
Like, because no one would have known. No supporter would have known that. No supporter probably knows that.
No.
That like fucking thought my dad was going to die. Was up at like 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. for a game that was at like 1 o'clock.
And it's funny, right? And then they probably see you either do one bad kick or he doesn't run back with a flight one time, and they hold that with them and think that'd be for like the next year.
Yeah. So
like, what?
Stuff like that, which is why like I'm so like I'd never judge. I'm so quick. Don't judge people on fucking one outing of a game or stuff like that. You just don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on in people's lives.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main things this whole thing with Dad's taught me is like everyone has something.
Yeah.
It might be minor, it might be fucking as big as what I'm going through, but everyone has something in their lives that's fucking giving them anxiety or giving them trouble.
Yeah. So has that kind of changed you in how you interacted with teammates? Like, are you more receptive of like, you know, these guys are going through stuff as well, and you're just given more time of the day? Or
I think I gravitate to people that are going through shit.
Yeah.
Like I knew, I mean, for me, like at Adelaide especially, like I gravitate really towards the Indigenous boys.
Yeah.
Because they've had hard upbringings and a lot of them still going through stuff. Like, and I just gravitate to boys like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I also gravitate to boys that fucking like to fuck around and do stuff like that. But I think for me, like, especially towards the end of my journey at footy, like it was a big deal for me to make sure that I gave everyone the time of day, whether it was the fucking... we had a guy called Nilo at the club who's a ripper who would clean the boots and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he was just as important to me as fucking Bucks or Geordie or Braden or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... And that's in general life. It's so important to treat people fucking as equal.
100%.
And I think for me, like, that's probably opened up opportunities for me as well, because people fucking... I get along with people.
Yeah.
And people want to work with, or people want to do stuff with people they see to be someone they can get along with.
Yeah, mate. It's courtesy costs you nothing. It actually it goes a long way. Yeah. When you're good with people, it goes a long way.
It's not a skill, and it's not hard either. So.
No, you're right. Everyone can do it. And I feel, and Archie put it really well last week. He goes, it's unfortunate that there's this kind of nature you need to have to be elite at sport, like almost like this egotistical, hardwired kind of like tunnel vision person. And not to say that you can't be that, but he was explaining that that's what he was in that, to get the best out of himself. And if he takes himself out of it now, he's like, fuck, that's like, what a shit way to be. Like, you know, you can be good with everyone. You can still maximize your time there. One thing I wanted to ask is, like, you've been in this system or experienced the system for 5 years. From what you've learned across those 5 years, is there anything that's been so powerful that you would wish you had implemented in yourself in day one, for example, to make those 5 years easier or more efficient?
I think, just like you realizing that the small shit counts and it builds up over time. Like for me, especially when I was drafted, like I used to party a lot. And I used to go out every weekend, get home late.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. And people, and I'm happy to admit that. And and people know at Collingwood that was an issue as well, like the stuff outside of footy. But I mean, every 18-year-old's the same. So by the time I look at it now, I'm like, you know, I'd still do the stuff I did back then and still go out and have fun, but just pick your moments more and just find every opportunity to do something that's going to make you better. And it sounds fucking very cheesy and stuff, but it's a reality. Like, the reason why blokes like Pendles and that are fucking superstars is because they do that. Yeah. Like, every opportunity Pendles is doing something that's going to make him better. Yeah. And like having a balance in life and like, especially when you're playing AFL, like when stuff was bad for me at home, footy was bad. Yeah. When stuff was okay at home and I was dealing with stuff and seeing people that were helping me, footy was good. Yeah. So, like, it's all aspects of your life. You can't expect to be coming and fucking dominating footy and then going home and fucking hating home. Like, it just doesn't fit.
Mate, that hits a string with me because I literally, my mum used to say this, and it hurts me still to this day, but she goes, my parents were like my punching bag. Whenever I played well, I was great with everyone.
Yeah.
But whenever I played bad, I'd take it out on my parents. Yeah. Like, they'd try to give me something, I'd just give them nothing. Because I was like...
I'm similar.
And it's just like, it's fucking hard because I didn't have balance. I was so defined by my performance. Yeah. And like, if I played well, everything was good. If I played shit, then like life was fucking tough. Which it doesn't have to be that way. But from a balance point of view, I mean, you seem like now a pretty well-balanced guy to me. Like, I reckon you've got a really good head on your shoulders. And as I said, anyone listening to this at the moment... Like, you guys should get on YouTube and listen to Croc's story about his family because it does put a lot of things into perspective, and you're also going to admire Croc even more for, like, the stuff like this guy. You were turning up every day this year, training as hard as you could for the Crows, trying to get a game, and, like, afterwards, you've got to deal with what's going on at home. And, like, as I said, I say this all the time, but there's no fucking award for that. And, like, people don't really understand that, and that's really, mate, it's really inspiring. So, I think you should be proud of what you're doing. And I think your brother, I was watching a thing and your brother said like one of the things he's got out of this, he's become a fucking lot more patient. Yeah. Because you have to be. So
the reality is you do. Like, there's every day something like even this morning, like Dad, when I left, he wasn't in a good way. And then it's like, fuck, you're starting your morning with that. So, like, I've got to quickly find a way
to get out of it,
to start the day well.
Yeah.
And, like, being in Adelaide was hard because, like, Dad got very sick probably about 2 months ago, and we thought that was probably going to be it. But I was stuck in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And I was facing the fact of if I come home, especially with stuff with COVID, I can't go back and play. So I'm going to finish the season off. So, like, you're constantly every day, you're thinking, am I doing the right thing being here? Is this fucking, am I picking footy over family? And that's not what I'm about. So, like, that whole thing was just so difficult. And I'm happy. I had a good time in Adelaide. I mean, we'll talk about the city. It needs some improvement.
Or the lack thereof.
Yeah. But like in terms of the club, I fucking had a good time. The boys were great.
Yeah.
But I was fighting that voice in my head. Fuck, should I be here?
Yeah.
Or should I be back home?
It's almost like, why the fuck does this have to be a choice?
Yeah.
Like, it should be easy. I should be there. I should be able to, it shouldn't have to be so black and white. But yeah, let's get on to Adelaide. I mean, not to shit can the city because they are great people there. It's just, Melbourne 35 years ago, but
it's back to Adelaide.
You're happy to be back in Melbourne anyway, just to, I guess, be back to where you're from.
I'd obviously still rather be playing.
Yeah.
But I think with everything that's going on and knowing that time's limited with Dad, it's probably the decision that fucking is the best. To be back with family and friends and I had times where I was struggling over there. I lived with Tyson Goldtack, who I used to play at Collingwood with, his wife Chelsea and their two little girls. So I had and I'm super close with them. So I had my little family there. But at the same time, they're doing their thing and their girls are growing up. Sometimes I felt like, fuck, I'm in the way a bit. And I'd kind of have to keep things close to my chest. And because I didn't know the boys there too well and they didn't know my circumstances, to the fullest, it's hard to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, with everything with COVID, I wasn't allowed to do anything in Adelaide. I mean, Adelaide has fucking wineries and stuff like that. But besides that, it's a quiet town. I didn't have friends outside of footy. So, on the weekends, I'd kind of just be with Tyson, Chelsea and the girls, or I'd be doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And after a while, it gets hard and you're thinking, fuck, being home would be nice.
Yeah.
So, when I got delisted, it was disappointment and relief at the same time. So,
yeah. So what's kind of your plan now? I mean, because obviously I take it, from your attitude and knowing, because I know you're doing a lot of training at the minute, that you feel you're good enough to be back in the AFL system and that your ambition is to get back there. That's your A. So for you, what's the process now to do that, within what you can control, I guess? Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm kind of back to the situation after Collingwood where I'm having to contact clubs myself. But I think I've got more of a clearer picture that it probably won't happen this year.
Yeah.
So I might have to go back and play VFL, and I'm still kind of working through what clubs that would potentially give me an opportunity at AFL if I had a good year in the VFL, and I don't know that's something I can do. And then kind of looking for a job elsewhere, and I'm working through what I'm interested in and I think that's an important thing for boys that are in the system is like, just keep it at the back of your mind, because 5 years goes like that. Like, fuck. I can remember day one so clearly, and 5 years in the future, I'm in this situation. And you get so focused on footy that you kind of lose track of what you want to do outside of footy. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I'm only 23, so I've got time on my side with a job and footy, which is the thing that keeps me positive. But yeah, kind of just working through what I might be interested in outside of footy. And right now, it's probably something to do in the fitness industry.
That's awesome, dude.
So yeah, it's
you got the PT look, mate. The haircut and the tats.
PT look, yeah. Train a few hotties.
Oh, mate, Cock, it's been a pleasure having you on. Keen to get some of the AFL guys on. I just think your situation right now it's not documented enough, because there's so many more players in the AFL or in any sporting system that go through your experience, and that's not to say that you're not elite, but there's just more players go through a lot of tough times, and the ones that get a lot of the limelight are the ones that have a pretty good path, you know. And this is like, I think there's in some regards, what I'm trying to say, there's more Ben Crockers than there are Scott Pendlebury's. So your experiences are much more consistent, or much more, there's just more players that go through what you go through, and 100%. The amount of players that have been delisted and have to have a good year in the VFL and get back. I mean, there's numbers, so you obviously take some positives out of that. You know, there's a road there for you, but. Just thanks for coming on, mate, sharing your story. I know you're pretty comfortable speaking about some tough stuff, but I'd be excited to see where you end up. And as I said to everyone, he's been training his socks off, so Saints, pick him up. Fucking hell, anyone.
Do something!
Thanks, brother. That's awesome.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. Cool.